For more information on my programs, please visit masajadi.com. That's MASSAJADY.com.
Hello, this is Masati. Welcome to my podcast, Xponential Intelligence. This is episode 112, Exponential Intelligence and Islam. So we'll be talking about Muhammad, his story, the religion he brought in, and then we'll do a meta healing, like we always do. And this time on the meta healing we'll bring frequencies of Muhammad, just like we did on the Buddha podcast. We brought frequencies of Buddha in, what his message was, what his true message is. We'll do a frequency on bringing in Muhammad's frequency, bringing his message in, and then we'll do a podcast on Jesus, bringing his frequencies in afterwards on the meta healing, so you can kind of tell the differences on frequencies, although very similar, different flavors of pretty much the same thing. We'll get into that, and the reason why we're doing these podcasts on these great leaders is that it's almost been, say, my mission to find the truth in things, whatever it might be, right? The truth in art sale, the truth in again, the underlying truth or the real reason why things happen. So in religion, really cleaning up, say, these individuals' names, and bringing a higher order or a truer version of what they really taught or brought about. Okay. As a note, I'm not here to defame, okay, abuse, criticize any religion, but think of me as a consultant. Okay? If the church came in, goes, Moss, we're losing members. What's wrong with our organization? Okay, what can we do better? Okay? So where are the key downfalls in the way we work? Just like a company, right? They're losing sales, or they could be better, even if they are increasing, right? Where could they define themselves? Where could they clarify themselves? Where could they help, say, the customer, because you are the believers, are customers, right? Of that religion or faith, right? So I come in and just give you, say, the weaknesses. Again, I'm not against any religion, any faith. However, I show you the weaknesses so that practice or whoever teaches that religion can have a better explanation, a truer explanation, or maybe redefining, so it's closer to the actual words of the creators of those religions. As a note, many of the people like Buddha and Muhammad, unlike Muhammad, Buddha and Jesus were not the creators of their religion. Right? Their works, their teachings were collected, and then somebody else turned them into a religion. Muhammad, on the other hand, he actually brought about and wrote the text, which is now called the Quran. And the people of Islam, we'll get into the definitions, called Muslims. Muhammad, sometimes also called Muhammad Abdullah, was the founder of the religion of Islam, and is considered by Muslims to be a messenger and prophet of God. The Muslims believe he was the last of the Islamic prophets, and the Islamic prophets, wouldn't you know, included Noah, Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. Pretty crazy, huh? And it's so crazy that there's a lot of fighting. They've been fighting for hundreds of years over this. But let me read those prophets again. And again, there's many more that use, well, all three religions, the major religions that dominate the world, the Jews, Christianity, and Islam. They all have very, 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 or not very similar, they all have really most of the same prophets. So why are they so different? They're really not. We'll get into that. So let me just rename them, or name them again. Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Abraham, pretty much the founder of the Jewish religion. So their definitions, or the teachings of those three religions can't all be that, say, drastically different for so many wars about religion to go on and kill, millions and millions of people, right? So there must be something going on there. Okay. Islam, simple definition of Islam, so we get the record straight on what we're talking about, because many of us have a definition of Islam or Muslims through news stories or hearsay, or what you hear in church, or other religions, right? Not the purest. So Islam, a religion founded by Muhammad, whose members worship the one God of Jews and Christians. God in Islam is called Allah in Arabic, and follow the teachings of the Quran. Islam means submission to the will of God, or the one truth, or seeking the one truth. So adherents of Islam are called Muslims. So again, let's just go through the definition, just so we understand. God is called Allah in Arabic. Again, the same God of the Jews and the Christians. Again, that one God. Pure source, just to kind of compare the two. And maybe we can compare the two in another podcast, or an extension of this podcast, but just for this definition, there's only one pure source, right? So very similar. And it means, again, Islam means submission to the will of God. Okay? The Islamic religion is really about, the believers believe in one God. All of its teachings and beliefs are written in the Quran. People who follow Islam are called Muslims. They believe that the Quran was spoken to Muhammad by the angel Gabriel, an angel of Christianity as well, and I believe the Jews, and that it is the word of Allah, or the word of God. So again, how can it be so different? The true teachings of all the major religions, not so different at all. Okay? So Islam basically is that is a religion that believes in one God. All of its teachings and beliefs are written out in the Quran. So talking about that, so Muhammad would be directed or be guided to go into a cave, and that was his first experience with being enlightened. He was in the cave. He was so-called meditating, and the angel Gabriel talked to him. Okay, so how does that happen with a non-religious individual, right? Well, just like it happens to anybody else, right? We want that true desire to connect to that one source, whether we know that source or not, that creates all. Or is that the definition of life, right? Simply, I had that deep longing, even as a child, right? A very young child. I was always wondering, wow, what's that source that created all this beauty, this all this stuff that's around here? What's that one source that created, the intricate flowers, right? The trees, the system, the ecosystem. Again, as a young child, when you have that deep fervor to understand, like in my case, right? And you want that understanding, well, mountains can be moved aside for you to find that definition. For me, it took about 2 near-death experiences. Right, I had to go through 2 near deaths to understand what it's all about. Muhammad had that same, say, deep desire. Okay? And it's not just a willingness, but it's a burning. I remember for me, and I'm sure similar to Jesus and Buddha and many others of us, right, that want that true definition. Again, it's not just about me and these great leaders. It's all of us who have such a burning desire that it consumes us, 24/7. It consumes us so much that the trueness, we start to awaken, our higher self or our spirit self starts to come in, and the answers to those questions start coming in. So for Muhammad, went into a cave, started speaking Gabriel started coming in, okay, and he said, "Speak," and Muhammad said, "I don't know how to," right? And then Gabriel say, "Recite," and again, I'm just picking up on through EI. Basically, what went on. I'm sure it's very similar to, or very accurate to the real story. And then Muhammad started reciting the Quran. And back in those days, and this is a miracle as well, guys. Back in the day, Muhammad was illiterate. So as he came down off the mountain, he had people who would write the messages that he perceived, that he received from the angel Gabriel. Okay? And back then, obviously, well, not obviously, but there was no paper, so they'd write it on, skins or whatever else that they had. Right? So he would recite all the text in the Quran, which is quite a hefty book, by the way. And they've analyzed the Quran, and this is what the miracle of the Quran is, that its tempo, its rhythm, the way it's written, it would take eons, even by a computer, to bring in that, say that much beauty in the verses. So quite amazing for an illiterate man, and that was one of the mysteries of the Quran, or the mysteries of how this illiterate man could come up with such beautiful verse. So that's the story. And by the way, maybe not being able to write. Again, that doesn't mean he was dumb. Back in the days, they just didn't know how to write. Some of the people, but very wise individual. He was a businessman, so he created trade. He brought in trade. And then over time, he started preaching or teaching the words of Allah, brought about through the angel Gabriel. Okay? So that's kind of the rundown of what's going on. As a note, Muhammad did not have any special talents as a prophet, like Jesus. Right? Jesus could heal. Moses, could separate the sea. Turn his cane into a snake, and many other of the prophets. And again, there's thousands, I believe. Right? Muhammad had no special gifts. What I believe, or again, gaining knowledge from EI, he wasn't here to really. I see Muhammad as a prophet that says, okay, there's a lot of good knowledge out there already. I don't have to bring in, say, a new vein of knowledge. Right? Just like all the others, although very similar, between Jesus and Buddha and everybody, all the other great prophets. I don't have to bring in another vein. Right? I'm here actually to compile all the information of all these prophets before me, all these great leaders, and again, people like not just the major ones, like Abraham and Noah and whoever else, Mother Mary and whoever. By the way, Islam believes in all of that. But people like Cyrus the Great and so on. I'm here to compile all that knowledge and information and give it just clarity. Okay? So almost like a step by step. So it's more definitive on the do's and don'ts of everyday life. Okay? So if you think of it, it's just another version. Okay? So at first, there's the book of the Jews, and then second edition came the book of the Christians, again kind of compiled by whoever, by priests from the stories and lives of Jesus, and then the third edition, the Islam book, the Quran, again brought about through Muhammad. So let's get into the nitty-gritty, some of the other stuff. Some of the things that people criticize Islam is that, well, Muhammad was a crazy man, because he. I read a story there that when he was in the cave, he would get violently ill, okay? Almost have like seizure type attacks and so on, and almost like throw up or foam at the mouth. Right? And people go, well, he was crazy, so the religion is brought about by a crazy man. Not true at all. In fact, there's a lot of people who I work on. Okay? They have seizures if they have, say, issues with their nervous system. Right? As the pure source comes through, right? As your clarity comes through, many of you go through a level of detox. Muhammad, being a normal individual, would have to go through a level of detox, especially if the angel Gabriel, say, came into, say, his Muhammad was in the presence of the angel Gabriel, right? That's again a true angel of God, and maybe we could do a podcast on angels and spiritual guides and so on like that. But again, if you are coming of that presence, right? If you are in front of that presence, okay, and this is how EI works. Okay, this is how my healing works. This is how I help you. Help others heal, through healing mastery. You come into that presence. That presence is so bright, right? So brilliant. What happens to you if you are in that presence? Any darkness that you have, well, it has to burn away. Any illnesses that you have to burn away. So what happens as the process comes through, or as you say, let go, just tapping into Muhammad? I actually believe he had, say, kidney, liver type issues. So time after time, as Gabriel, as he would visit Gabriel, well, all the distortions of life, again, or what I call detox nowadays, would come through for him, and well, he got healthier. So I believe that he had again some kind of a bacteria or something that affected his liver, and it was affecting his nervous system. So in short, again, clearing that up for him, and not a crazy person, but part of the detox of getting healthier, just like a lot of people here do. Right? They go through some severe detox if you are severely ill. Just to give you an example, the most severe detox we had, this woman was very, very ill. Through some of the group healings or private healings that we did together, she came to a point where she ended up in the hospital. For about a month, she had to relearn how to walk. Right, it was that severe, and gain access to talking, relearning a lot of things. However, after that, she was completely healthy. Right before, she was bedridden for I don't know how long. It was a store. It was a while back. But again, very, very powerful transformations. Those things happen to a lot of individuals who are again deathly ill, terminally ill. Right? You have to go through that process for some of those people to clean up and then get healthy. Same way with Muhammad. So let's again get to the nitty gritty. Other stuff about Muhammad. I'm sure a lot of people have read about this. He had 11 wives. So why did Muhammad marry a 6-year-old, which was his youngest wife, Aisha, I believe, from the question. His twin flame. Not necessarily so. Why did he have so many wives? About 11, while a maximum of 4 wives is allowed for a Muslim. Okay. So back in the day, about the number of wives that he had back in the day, well, either because of the war that was going on, a lot of the men got killed. So instead of selling yourself for prostitution, because Islam was not around yet, because of selling yourself into prostitution, to gain shelter and food, what Muhammad would do, because that was the law of the land, because you couldn't have any foreign women, so that means your sisters or your mother or aunt, other than those, say, relatives, you couldn't have any other women in your house. So to go through, say, legalities, he married these women. Doesn't mean that he had sex with them. And then you hear stories that, he had sex with all 11 women every night. Right? Again, that's an amazing feat in itself for a man to have sex with 11 women every night. I don't know how you'd bring up about a religion, much less run your business or anything else, if you had that much sex every night. So again, stories like that, fill the internet just to debunk a lot of the beliefs in Islam, just like there's a lot of distortions in the Christian religion as well, to debunk Christianity or any other religion or any other faith or any other say spiritual practice. Right? You can find a lot of dirt. Anybody can make up a lot of dirt. And just tapping into EI, his earliest wife or his youngest wife at 6, no, that is just that doesn't hold any water. It doesn't seem true at all. He did not consummate with a 6-year-old or anything like that, or they say that consummated at 9 or 12. Okay? By the way, which would have been, say, a standard age. I think they got married around 12 or 14 back then. So not too old, but again, he only had that one love, right? His wife, his real wife. I believe that had died. So debunking that story. We'll go deeper. Why is it that women were made to cover themselves instead of men? Okay. And then a similar question. What is the true reason for having women covering themselves, and specifically having to wear a burqa or headscarf? Why should women be forced into covering themselves completely, especially when it is endangering their physical well-being, when the temperatures are so high and they are wearing black? They are in danger of heat stroke or even death. Again, so the question assumes a lot of things that are imposed on Islam. One, just straight off the top, whether you're wearing a burqa or not, wearing black in the extreme heat is not a good idea. You can wear any color of burqa that you want. So again, that's their preference. Right? They can wear white. They can wear any other color as well. So wearing black, yes, not the best idea. And then covering up. Okay? In reality, right, or in scientific, say, explanations, if you look at the people of the desert, right, they wear heavy but many layered clothing, all in white, by the way, and that actually keeps them not drier, cooler, and well hydrated. Especially if you're in the desert, if you're out there with just a tank top or very, say, Western type clothing, you dehydrate in hours. Right? So what they do, again, the best practice to be in the sun, especially extreme heat, you'd want to cover yourself up. Okay? Stay away from the shade, wear light clothing, right? And keep the evaporation from your sweat back into your clothes. As the wind comes through, it cools you off. So it's actually an air conditioning system if done right. Okay? But that's beside the point. Okay? So not so dangerous after all. But again, like I said, that's beside the point. Why is it that women were made to cover themselves instead of men? Okay. So the reason for the burqa or the headscarf that they wear is that back in the day, okay, women, just like in the Western culture or any other culture, women were considered favorable depending on their beauty or their looks. Right? So the real reason why the burqa was brought about was to bring equality to women. Okay? If you didn't know what a woman looked like, you would have, say, a non-judgment. Right? There would be no preference or disgust either way. Right? You wouldn't favor one woman over another. And again, that's not the Islamic. That's just the way, say, people are. And it's not just between men and women. It's between women and women. Look at the Western culture. Right? There's tons of psychological studies. People who look better, who are prettier or more handsome, they get favored over people who don't. Right? It's not about the religion at all. It's just a psychological trait that humans have. Right? Until we get rid of that trait, then we're safe to say, yes, we are all equal. We should be treated not the way we look, right, but our intellect. So again, the real reason why women wear the burqas is to bring them equality. Right? Allow them to have them, allow them to interact with people through their intellect. Again, not what they look like. The real reason why the burqa is here, unfortunately, just like many other religions, those customs, those traditions, the real reason gets distorted, right, by abusive men, women, culture, whatever, and then now women are forced to wear something like this. It doesn't benefit either side. Right? And I might have said this in another podcast, where an ankle is showing or a wrist is showing of a woman, and that's tempting for a man. Okay, and then the woman showing their ankle or wrist and so on, they get beaten or they get abused, right? I just have to say that, if you are getting tempted, if you think that woman is a prostitute just because they show their ankle, and if you, the most importantly, if you get tempted by that, okay, you should be beaten up, not the woman. Okay? If you're going to be tempted by just a mere ankle or a wrist, what the hell is going to happen to you when you cross over, when you die? Okay, and get tempted by much more extremes. If you're going to be tempted by simple flesh, you've got a tough road on the other side. you'll be tempted by much, much, much more. Okay? So again, for those people who beat their women up, their daughters, their wives, and so on like that, start beating yourself up if you do get tempted. Okay? And again, that's more truer, more concise to the Islamic practice, what Muhammad had in mind for women. If you really read the Quran, there's a lot of dignity, there's a lot of respect for the women in the religion. And again, most of us hear the disrespect, right? Through news stories, through other stories, through uneducated individuals who've never read the Quran, or who have read or who hear the Quran, the explanations of the Quran through what they call a mullah or a priest. Okay, very distorted. Right? Again, just like the church, they want to control you. The mullahs here, same thing. They want to control the people. So the best way to control, say, you have to do this to women, you have to keep them under control, and so on and so on. Right? As a note, Islam is very high on education. In fact, there's a lot of inventions that came from the religion of Islam, just like it did in the Christian, the Jewish, and the Buddha type religions as well. Okay? So not just for men, by the way, for women as well. Let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. And this is where, well, here's another tidbit as well. In the Muslim culture, dogs are considered dirty. Okay? Very untrue. In fact, Muhammad had a dog as a pet. Right? So why would it be considered dirty? Right? Back in the day, they would have these scavenger dogs. And they weren't necessarily dogs. These dogs had germs. So what Muhammad said was to kill these dirty dogs. So not to spread the germs around. And again, the message got distorted. And then what do you have nowadays? Right? In a lot of, say, Islamic homes, they consider the dog dirty. But that's the true story of dogs being dirty. Right? Again, he was talking about those rabid dogs that were infesting the town, or overtaking some of the towns. What is the reasoning and true or pure value of people praying 5 times per day? What is the pure meaning of people cleansing themselves before each prayer? Okay. You've always heard that expression, cleanliness, closest thing to holiness. Yes. Back in the day, many individuals, they didn't think about, washing their hands. They didn't think about, well, one, there wasn't a lot of water, but two, some of the hygiene methods, not there. And it happened, I'm here in Paris, doing this podcast, studying some of the palaces and so on. Disgusting hygiene. Right? With disgusting hygiene, what do you get? A lot of illnesses. Right? Back in the days, a lot of people died because of illnesses brought about by hygiene. They just weren't aware of bacteria. They never heard of bacteria. Same thing with the Islamic culture. They never heard of bacteria. So when Muhammad came through, okay, part of the process, okay, and he just attached it to praying, because you're supposed to pray 5 times a day. If you washed your hand, cleansed your body 5 times a day, well, you were hygienically clean. You were healthier. That's the bottom line. You'd smell less. Right, especially in those hot cities out there. So that was the purpose. Right? Nothing else, just purity. Again, Islam is high on cleanliness and purity. The prayer 5 times a day, the true meaning of that, there's nothing wrong. You should always be concentrating on a higher order, higher power, whether you're concentrating on a spirit or that desire, that natural innate presence that you want to attach to. I don't see anything wrong with that. The EI, right? Once people say get locked in, and by locked in, I mean that they remove all the garbage that's distorting them, that's keeping them ill, that's keeping them poor, that's keeping them without a proper relationship. Right? They connect to pure source. They ask me a lot of questions, and this kind of falls in line with Islam. Just like, again, I'm not pushing Islam, by the way. All the other religions talked about the Buddhist religion, brought it into the EI perspective as well. So in Islam, what do you do as far as the EI goes, right? You come to me. Okay, and this is the order. People come to me, and they go, Moss, I need to, I need better finances. I need this. I need that. Start working on them. Yeah, their finances improve and so on like that. But as people awaken, and I can tell exactly where you are on the path of awakening. As you awaken, you start asking less and less questions about, I need money. I need this. I need that. What about this? What about my spouse? What about all that? You start going, Moss, just work on me. Just work on me. I just want to connect to pure source. Right? Because if you connect to pure source, it's like praying in the Islam culture. If you're connecting to Allah, okay, pretty much very similar, different words. Obviously, pure source, a pure perspective. It's not distorted by the culture or the religion of today's Islam. What are you asking? You know that if you connect to pure source, all the other things that you want are just an aside. They just naturally come to you. So again, same thing with praying 5 times a day. Unfortunately, again, this is where it becomes unfortunate for many individuals, since you get pushed into praying 5 times a day. Okay? You have no reason or no reasoning behind praying 5 times a day for many of those people, right? You get born into the Muslim religion. You get, you push your kids. You have to do this to be a good Muslim. You don't know the reasoning why. Right? And you have that blind faith or that stupid faith that takes you nowhere. Okay? But in reality, again, not just Islam, other religions, if we start to know the underlying reason of why it's done, it's actually beneficial for you. So what you're doing is really taking time to meditate and asking yourself, how do I connect to pure source even stronger? Now that's in its truer sense, but like I said, in today's society, people just go through the notion of, praying, and it's like, okay, I prayed 5 times a day, something's going to happen to me. Same thing as people going to church on every Sunday thinking that they're a good Christian. It's not the process. It's like, okay, I did my time, what's my benefit? It's not about that. It's not about you. It's not about God wanting you to, say, submit your will. Okay? It's not about, say, energizing God. God doesn't care. God doesn't need us. God doesn't need Islam or any other religion. It just is. Okay? The benefit it is for you to awaken to the sense that you can get closer to your own identity of who you are between you, pure source, in this case, Allah, and your higher self. That's what it's about. Again, it's not about pleasing God in any religion. It's about you. We'll do a meta healing. Let's go ahead and take a nice, again, strong, deep breath in, noticing your space, noticing the space around you. And in this meta healing, and a meta healing is where I guide you into a deep state of meditation, beyond hypnosis, beyond NLP, beyond any of the physical things that we do to relax and connect. And then I work on you on your source code, helping bring knowledge of EI, Exponential Intelligence. And that's where we get the, say, the miraculous type transformations in one's life. Again, noticing your breath, noticing your space, noticing you, whether you're sitting or standing, lying down. For a lot of new people, we get tons and tons of new people listening to the podcast, so welcome. So whether you're new to this or somebody who's been here before, again, noticing the position of your body. For example, the position of your hands, where they are, the position of your fingers, noticing the webbing between your fingers. All this for no other reason but to bring you into the present moment. As we come into the present moment, the awarenesses of time, or the distortions of time, we disconnect from, and we can understand the teachings of these great individuals, no matter what religion was brought about by them, in a higher order. Wonderful breath in again, connecting to the group. I think we've got about 1.2 million people that listen. It's a lot of power that listen to this podcast. Again, that's a lot of momentum that can be created. Since we're all wanting a higher truth, since we're all looking the same direction, creating a lot of momentum, pulling you out of the ruts, the distortions of any religion, including Islam, helping you break through those blocks of any religion, including Islam. Fantastic breath in again. Asking ourselves, how do I connect to pure source even stronger? As a note, not religious. It's not a religious question. It has no faith in any faith that you might be in. It doesn't matter. Again, it's non-religious, non-spiritual. However, how do I connect to pure source even stronger as you analyze each word? Will allow you to understand your religion to a higher order where it actually makes sense to you, and then where you can benefit from it rather than get oppressed by it. As we come into our heart area, the chest, right, the ribs, the sternum bone, the lungs, noticing your shoulders relaxing, getting a little heavier. So I generate those frequencies that help you transform, help you shift. All you have to do is pay attention to the upper section of your body, from the throat down, from the solar plex, right between your ribs on up. Not just the front, right through into the back. Noticing your arms, upper muscles of the arms. So that horizontal section. So you pay attention to that. Bringing a higher order of the true meaning of Islam for you, or Muhammad's intention, whether you're Muslim or not. Noting your breath. go ahead and take that group breath in, inhaling through the nose. Holding it. Releasing, letting go. Noticing your spine. From the top of your spine, right below your skull, right through the neck, the top of the back, your mid back, your lower back, right down into the tailbone. Continue to work on you. Again, bringing the truer definitions, void of all the misconceptions. Let's go ahead and take another strong deep breath in, and then count from 32 down to 0. As we count backwards, we go deeper, ascend higher, higher. So we can feel that presence of Mohammed, his teachings. Again, whether you're Muslim or not, doesn't matter. A lot of great teachings we can learn from. If you don't like the teachings, you can do away with them. So bringing in that frequency. Noting the breath, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, going deeper yet, 27, 26, 25, as we slow down time, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. Removing us from the distortions of time as we go deeper yet. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, deeper yet, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Let's go ahead and bring frequencies of Mohammed, his teachings, around you. And as you take another breath in, just for comparison, just go ahead and do this and just note whatever you felt. I'll tell you what I saw. You can compare notes. I don't want to seed you ahead of time. Afterward, so we can compare one logical, say, intelligence, not superstition, right? More of a scientific, fairness, equality among anything that God has created, not just men, women, so which includes women. More of a business sense, again, bringing, say, those concepts of religion into your business or everyday practice, not setting separate. So that's his patterns and frequencies. So we'll move Mohammed aside. Let's go. Yeah. So let's open our eyes just for a flash. Close them. Kind of reset. Similar to a wine tasting. Right? You reset your palate. We'll reset our frequencies. We'll count down from 5 to 0. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And let me help you bring in the frequencies of true Islam. So the pure intent of Islam, or true, a Muslim, if you practiced Islam the way Muhammad intended it, how you would feel, how you would be. Again, many Muslims, by the way, don't fit this paradigm. It's like many Christians or Jews don't fit that paradigm. If it's insulting to you, it is what it is. I'll just tell you what I see. So again, bringing in the frequencies of a true Muslim practicing the true religion of Islam. How you would feel. Which dictates how you would act. Which dictates how your life or how you run your life. There we go. Strong deep breath in, again inhaling through the nose, holding, and then releasing. Again, overall, again, good, righteous person, just like if you practiced Jewish tradition, Christian traditions, and opening your eyes for a flash, resetting your palate, moving that aside for you. And if you're not feeling it right away, again, most of you will, even if you're new, if you're not feeling it right away, keep listening to this and then just not care or don't expect anything, all right? And again, if you're not feeling anything, you run patterns of being fearful, controlled, or controlling. And that's just not for this meta healing, others as well. So for those individuals, again, keep listening to break free from the distortions that bind you. Just go ahead and take a nice deep breath in again. I'll count down from 10 to 0. 10, 9, 8. As we go deeper yet. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And what we'll do is we'll bring in the definitions of what most people think about Islam, right? Or what you hear on the news or anywhere else, especially if you're of the Western culture or in the US. So we'll bring in those frequencies for you. So you can compare true Islam to the distorted Islam. And as a note, same with true Christianity and then what runs the world today. Same thing with the Jews, Buddhists, spiritual movements. In this case, modern day definition of Islam. And nothing to do with faith as you can sense. Strong deep breath in, opening your eyes for a flash, again resetting. Hopefully that was beneficial for you. And then you can choose, it's still available to you as long as you stay in this stay quietly meditating. The frequencies of true Islam, frequencies of Mohammed, if you want to experience that more, you can just bring that in. And as long as you stay in this space, you're connected to the mastermind, which will continue that that resonance. Or for those people who are interested, let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. I'll just push whatever frequency that you want. And again, you don't want the distorted patterns of Islam. So between Muhammad and the true definition of Muslims or Islam, you can stay in this space for as long as you wish, as long as you stay quietly meditating, still connected to the mastermind, as I explained earlier. Notice what you notice, and then notice the details of what you notice. As a note, in the near future, we'll be doing a special on bringing in frequencies of top spiritual leaders, their definitions, the true definitions of the religion they brought in, and then today's world, just like we did here, we'll bring in, say, the major three, and then spirituality movements as well, so you can compare them side by side. Again, we're going to do a special on that. So look for that on the newsletter or on our social media, Facebook. Join us on Instagram, Mas_Sajadi, or Facebook. All right, guys, for details. Thanks for being here. Notice what you notice. Till next time, take care.
For more information on my programs, please visit masajadi.com. That's MASSAJADY.com. Or join us on Facebook for more information. We do a lot of Facebook Live.